you don't have a service delivery problem, you have a client success relationship problem. And I'm going to show you how to deliver amazing client experience so you can keep clients longer than 3 months, 6 months, more than 1 to 2, even 3 years with one single client. And this will effectively make you more money in the long term. And hey, this is why we're in business. We want to have success in the long term. And in order to do that with your service-based business, agency owner, coaching, or consultant, you need to be a great permeator of client relationships, right? So let me dive straight into here. And the North Star to everything, again, you're going to hear me say this again and again and again, is relationships. Without relationships, you can deliver a great service, you can deliver a great coaching product, you can deliver a great service, product, whatever you deliver. If you can deliver that at a very high level, but your client relationships, your client success is at a very low level, they're still going to churn. For example, I remember I had a client, my first ever, I think my second client ever when I was starting my lead gen agency, doing cold email for e-commerce marketing agencies. We delivered them 30 appointments in the first month. Now, those of you who do lead gen for e-commerce, or you're a marketing agency that serves e-commerce, you know how hard it is to get appointments in that space, right? We've got 30 calls in less than 30 days, right? Around 30 calls in less than 30 days. What most people would dream of over the course of 3 months, just 10 calls a month. We got 30 in 30 days for our client that's a marketing agency, right? And we delivered a great service. And guess what? By that third month, they churned. Why? Because we diagnosed the fact that our client relationships, our relationship building with that existing client was so poor. Even though we delivered such a great service, they still left because the experience that they hoped for, they did not get, right? So they didn't want to keep engaging with us because trust was diminishing, right? So I'm speaking from my own experience, right? So there is levels of trust, right? And the highest level of trust is the fact that a client will stay with you even though results will be below average or just subpar. Now, we learned from that experience, and guess what? We took on another client in the e-commerce space that's a marketing agency. We could not book a single appointment in like 1.5 to 2 months. Now, eventually we did book them calls, but we did not book them calls for like 3 months straight. But they still stayed on with us. Why? Because we learned from that mistake and we developed systems, communication systems, and frameworks so they can still stay on with us even though our client results were subpar. They were below average, matter of fact. But since we developed that relationships and we built infrastructures and systems on how to communicate with our clients successfully on a consistent basis and how to develop skills of client success, they stayed with us, right? And in order to get that point, you have to build client success systems. You have to build client relationship systems. And if you don't have that, your business will suffer in the long term and you will wither away like sand at the beach, right? So when the tide comes, so to speak. So I'm going to show you basically the high-level frameworks of what I've used and what I've implemented for some of my private clients, some of my personal clients, and we can take it from there. So keep this in mind. Relationships are key. Relationships is the North Star to your business. As long as you dial in on relationships, you will never go broke again, okay? So you have a thriving business. So how to increase client lifetime value by $50,000 or more per year. I can guarantee you if you implement what I'm saying to you today and implement that tomorrow for your own clients, one single client will be worth to you at least $50,000 per year, right? You get 3 clients, boom, they're worth to you $150K just with 3 clients, right? And that is imperative to your long-term success because that's something you can rely on because you can rely on yourself to deliver a great client relationship. So there's 2 things you need to understand. In order to increase client lifetime value and to increase your client relationship and gauge gauge that trust meter so it's at maximum level, you have to continuously, perpetually be doing discovery conversations, basically. Right? So we think that the discovery ends on our first sales call, right? The discovery ends there. No. you need to continuously be doing consistent discovery conversations with your clients on a week-to-week or at minimum, at maximum, bi-weekly basis. So you at least need to be doing this on a weekly basis. Be doing discovery conversations, and then on the flip side, you also need to couple that with solution-based actions. And so I'm going to break down the left here, perpetual discovery conversation. So let's get straight into it. Very simple concepts, but it's very imperative that you do understand these things and take it internally and then implement going forward. Okay. So just how you're doing a sales discovery conversation, your discovery phase in your sales process, you need to keep it about them, right? You need to be asking them questions. And I'm going to show you what specific questions you need to ask them and keep it about them. And then you have to go a level down and ask them disruptive questions. And then from down there, you have to listen as well. 90% of client relationships is actually listening to your prospect. Most people don't do that, right? So keep it about them and ask disruptive questions. And so, Isaiah, what are those questions? I'm going to show you here. Radically authentic discovery questions, right? So keep it about their business, keep it about them, and then move on to keeping it about you, right? So here are the authentic discovery questions you have to be doing on a week-to-week basis, right? So what do you think is the top priority or challenge your board is discussing, right? So this is more for corporate jargon, but just implement it inside however large your business is or however large your client is, right? So what do you think is the top priority or challenge that you're facing? So what I would ask my clients that are under my belt is, so based on what we've been doing for the past week, John, what do you think is your top priority right now? And then they say what their top priority is. And then I move on to the next question. It's like, okay, what do you think is the biggest challenge for that top priority to be achieved right now? And then that opens up a whole host of what their mind is on. And what their mind is on, you need to follow that because you need to give them what they need, right? Or excuse me, you need to give them what they want and then give them what they need on the back end. So hopefully that clicks for you. Who is your customer and what's the biggest challenge they need you to solve, right? So for your client's client, right? So to go a level deeper, ask them this question. So based on your client, what's the biggest challenge you need to solve for them? Because as long as you solve that challenge, you're going to be more successful and we're going to be more successful because you're happy because we're solving not only your problems, but also your client's problems. So you are taking care of the entire journey of their business. And as long as you can have a grip over that, you are golden, right? Most people stop at just solving their problems and stopping at there. How about we solve their client's problems, your client problems, right? And then from there, you are irreplaceable. You are not replaceable, right? So, and then I won't have to go through all these discovery questions, but really hammer this home and ask these questions. You want to keep it about their business, then go to them, and then go to you, right? So just to go through every single thing here. Once you talk about them, you want to be a little bit more personable, right? You want to really gauge where they're at. So what request or call do you dread most, or what request or call do you most dread getting? And then that'll open up a host of other constituents of why they don't want to experience that problem, so we can move them away from that, right? And then a level deeper, keep it about you as well. What are we great at? Better than anybody else. If you were to engage with us again and you had no knowledge about us, what would be the biggest selling point, right? If your boss knew that you were talking to me, or let's just say if one of your team members or one of your competitors knew that you were talking to me, what would they want you to tell me or ask me, right? On a scale from 1 to 5, from no sweat or excruciating, what would it be to change providers? What would it be to change consultants? What would it be to change, us? How excruciating would that be? Or would it just be, hey, no sweat, right? We want it to be excruciating, right? And that's how we build that up, and that's how we keep them long term. So you can screenshot this, go ahead and implement that inside your business, and you'll be all good to go. right? So that is keeping it about them, keeping it about their business, and then asking them disruptive questions, right? And then listening. Listening is the biggest part, and I can show you how listening is really the most imperative thing here with this screenshot that I got here, right? So as you can see, so achieving is 80% listening, talking is 80% listening, and basically what that means is when you, so I got this from one of my private clients. When you are silent 90% of the time, but you talk 10% of the time in those ongoing discovery conversations, that time where you're talking is going to be way more valuable. Excuse me. Why? Because people love what is scarce. And if you're talking 90% of the time, and if you're just blabbering on about for whatever reason, they're going to not value that because they are constantly getting it, right? So you need to be silent 90% of the time and talk 10% of the time, because that 10%, they're going to hear you, they're going to listen, because that is scarce. So that is what I mean by 80% listening and 20% speaking. I would keep that to 90% listening and 10% speaking, because they're going to value that way more. Right, so just keep that in mind when engaging with potential or current clients of yours. Right, so that is the ongoing perpetual discovery conversations that you need to have. Right, and again, this applies to any service-based business. Right, whether you're running a consultancy, whether you're running a marketing agency, whether you're running a design agency, whether you're running a cleaning business, whether you're running a plumbing business, any service-based business. These are crucial questions you need to be asking clients or customers, right? And of course, it's going to be in different modalities. Obviously, you're not going to go on a 45-minute conversations with just a customer. If you run a cleaning business, you could, to gather insights, of course, like if you want to go the extra mile, but it'll be less of time needed if you're running like a service-based business that's not like a marketing agency or a coaching or consultant, more lower ticket sort of businesses that I'm talking about in that framework. But it's still the same foundational principles that you need to implement inside whatever service-based business that you run, and then you'll be all good to go. And then in terms of like tracking return on investment and customer success, I got this from a software called StrikeDeck. So employee morale goes up when your clients are successful. Customer visibility throughout the organization goes up. Product adoption goes up because you're now, since your clients are successful and you built relationships with them and they're giving you ongoing testimonials, they're giving you the utmost praise, they're giving you case studies. Product adoption, service adoption, getting in more clients, basically, to keep it simple, goes up because you could put that in your marketing, right? And all this stems from those relationships, guys. You can still get a case study even if you delivered subpar results. Why? Because you can talk about the experience that your client had, and they're so happy to talk about that, and they can talk about that for hours. And that can still be in your marketing. But what the most powerful thing is, if you can deliver a great service plus have great relationships, oh, you're golden. You are golden. You will scale your business up as fast as possible. Churn will go down. Upsells will go up. Conversions will go up when you can have a system like this and implement this on a week-to-week basis for all of your clients, right? So really keep this in mind. This is why client relationships, customer success is imperative inside your business. Nobody is talking about this because they rather talk about service delivery, and of course that's important. They rather talk about sales and marketing, but they don't talk about how to keep clients for the long term. And the last thing that you want to do as a business is churn and burn and always churn clients. You can't upsell them. Your conversions go down, your employee morale goes down because you're getting so much complaints, right? And this stems from client relationships, guys. So keep that in mind. And then on the right here, we have solution-based action. Solution-based action. So once you gauge where they're at morale-wise and what they want, so you can give them what they need, and you have all this data to go off of, now you can develop a plan for them to go forward, to be successful. And the key to this is to build a plan is to listen, right? And then from that plan, that you develop on a 45-minute period or hour and a half period, the longer the better really, then you can go out there and execute it. So you can give that plan, they can execute, and then you need to gather feedback as well. And this is why having calls with your clients, if you run a high-ticket business, calls with your clients on a weekly basis. If you run a lower-ticket business like a cleaning business, something of that nature, you need to be gathering feedback either via reviews, via just quick 5 to 10 minute text messages between a customer of yours, or just call them up 5 to 10 minutes and ask them about how their service was, how can they improve going forward, right? Things like this. Once you can gather that feedback, you can then implement and really rinse and repeat plan, execution, and then feedback, right? But then this is stemmed from this here. So keep that in mind. All right. Now the STAR system. Now, how do we get to the bottom of what they want? How do we get to the bottom of how to make our client successful? It comes from a great product, great service. Don't get me wrong. That is a huge constituent of how to make our client successful, because if we don't have a great product, well, the likelihood of them being successful is on a lower spectrum. But this is what I call the STAR system. So we keep going down the system here, right? We ask one simple question. What is your top priority right now, John? What's your top priority? And then we go a level down. Okay, what are the top 2 things we need to achieve this top priority? Excuse me. What are the top 2 things we need to achieve this top priority? Okay, once we figure that out, it's like, okay, what are the actions we need to do to make sure those top 2 things are achieved? So those top 2 things, once they are achieved, we automatically achieve our priority, our top priority. And then to go a level deeper, it's like, okay, so what do we need to plan out so we can execute on these 3 things so you're successful? And then we can build from there. We can build the plan from there once we get to the bedrock, once we get to the red star in this STAR system, right? It's just what I called it. But that's how you have to break things down in order to build back up. And it's the same thing with developing curated plans for your clients so they can be successful in the long term, right? And in order to do this, simple stuff, get on calls with your clients. Call them, if you can call them every day. If you need to, call them every day, right? Like, there's no such thing as over communication, right? Once a client comes to me and say, hey, like, you're calling me way too much, I did my job right. So keep communication top of priority, top of mind. Because again, you can deliver a subpar service, but as long as you are doing these things right here, you're asking, you're perpetually doing discovery conversations. You're keeping it about their business. You're keeping it about them. And then you're gathering feedback for yourself so you can develop a plan. Then once you develop that plan, you can execute on that plan with them. Then you can gather feedback from them executing that plan. Then you can make things better. And that is just from a strategic business standpoint. I didn't even talk about developing a client relationship in the context of seeing how their family is. You know, hey, when's the next vacation? When's the next trip? Hey, do you mind if we meet up at a coffee shop at 6 p.m.? Hey, I'm gonna be in St. Louis tomorrow. I know that you're in St. Louis for the week. How about we get a dinner? Talk about some things. Once you can do that on a consistent basis and get personable with them, they are never going to leave you. And I can give you an example of why you can deliver a subpar product or service, but still keep clients for the long term. Those of you who know Eman Gadji, one of the biggest names in the online agency, online business space, Eman Gadji. Some people say his entry level course, I think it's I don't know what price point it is, but it's basically teaching people how to get to 10K a month with an SMMA agency, with SMMA. Most people say, this is not coming from me, by the way, most people say that course it's not the best. Let's just keep it at that. It's not the best. But because Eman Gadji has been building a relationship with them through content, through marketing, being personable in those modalities of delivering relationships, I can buy Eman Gadji stuff today and be super underwhelmed by it, but I won't blame Eman Gadji about the product he made. I will blame myself, because the relationship that he built with people is so great that they kind of want to be like him. They don't want to upset him because he has built that relationship. Like for example, look at a friend. You don't want to upset your friend, right? You don't want to upset them to the degree that you'll lose the relationship. Because if you do that, that means, at least if you go the extra mile in terms of upsetting them, of course, sometimes you need to have hard conversations with your friends. But in terms of like upsetting them to the point where you lose a relationship with them, you never want to do that. And it's in the same context of Iman Gadzhi. That's why he can still continue to spew out this product that maybe is subpar, but still have people buying products that are more expensive than that entry-level product, because people still want to keep buying from him because they trust him so much, even if the first product is subpar. And this is how you can upsell clients and you deliver a subpar product at the beginning. So this is very important that you understand that principle. And he's building relationships and not even talking to directly to clients. You can talk directly to clients, really get to know them, really understand certain things. Guys, all you have to do is listen. Your clients will give you the world in terms of what they want, and then you can give them what they need on the back end. And then you could bring up certain things that maybe they thought you would brush past, but once you bring up that certain situation, that thing they were going to do, that thing they were going to buy, that vacation, once you bring that up and have a conversation around that, they're going to trust you even more because you know that they're listening, right? And then they'll be more engaged with you. And that's how we get to bedrock, and then that's how we can build from there. And yeah, and then in terms of actual granular steps on actually how to do this, for the high-ticket service-based businesses, you want to get on one-to-one weekly calls. And until you have 100 clients, 50 to 100 clients, get on one-to-one weekly calls, right? You want to be busy. You want to be busy, if you really want to scale your business for the long term. Again, not again, but for the long term, obviously you're going to want to delegate this to a client success manager, somebody like me, somebody that is at a high level who really does this for a living, or you can train them up based on your experiences, whatever is good for you. You, of course, once you have 50 to 100 clients, you're going to want to delegate this, but up until 50 clients, you want to, in a high ticket B2B or B2C sense, you want to have one-to-one weekly calls with your clients, right? And then from there, you are going to want to ask just ongoing discovery questions, right? And then keep it between 30 to 45 minutes. The more the better, but keep it between 30 to 45 minutes, just as a rule of thumb. And then after you do this, and then you get on that next call you have with them is going to be a plan and understanding current North Star, current priority, and solving that as soon as possible. And then from there, you want to develop a monthly plan from those week-to-week calls to solve or to attain the top priority, right? And then make sure they take action. By association, you'll keep them accountable because you're getting on week-to-week calls with them and you're texting them as well, ideally on a every 2 to 3 day basis. You keep them. Personally, me, I text all my clients every single morning. You'll keep them accountable, and I'm serving 50 clients right now, right? So 48 clients right now. You'll keep them accountable by association. And then from there, you can gather feedback, right? And then from that feedback, you can develop new plans to solve new problems. And then literally rinse and repeat until you solve problem after problem after problem after problem after problem after problem. And so that is really the action plan you should have. And then couple that with the STAR system, couple that with the radically authentic discovery questions. And of course, you can add your own into there as well. Couple that with listening 90% of the time, talking 10% of the time, and then couple that with solution-based actions, plan, execute, feedback from these these perpetual discovery conversations. And that's how you develop relationships. That's how you increase client lifetime value by $50,000 per year or more with just one client. And they'll stay with you forever, and you can get paid for a very, very long time. So that's all I got for you, ladies and gentlemen. If this is helpful, if you want to see more, let me know down in the comment section. And I know it's been, a video like this has been long overdue. I'll be on a consistent schedule here for sure. I'm going down the route of really what I'm doing nowadays and my skills, and give you guys my skills and the businesses that I'm building, failures, successes, mindset as well. So just let me know what you want to see. I've been through it all. I've seen it all, but I still have much, much to learn. Because I know that I don't know nothing, right? That's a play to Socrates and Plato and all the Stoics, right? But hopefully this information is valuable to you guys, and implement this going forward. I'll see you at the top.